Well, hey everybody, welcome to another cooking episode at our thrifty cottage. I'm pretty excited today to be bringing to you something. It's just super fun. I don't know why it's so rewarding, but I love making our own cured meats, bacons, pancettas, hams, salamis. Maybe it's a little bit of my Italian heritage coming out. But today we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to make guanciale, which is the fun way to say face bacon or cured pork jowl or something along that line. But essentially what we have here is actually what would normally be wasted product. This is a cut of pork that oftentimes people don't know what to do with it. And so it doesn't get done with much. But essentially, if you take a look at that beautiful fat there and the lovely meat through it, it looks just like bacon. And guess what it's going to taste like when we're done? It's going to taste like bacon. Now, normally what I would do with this is I would leave the skin on to cure this. It's a super simple process. But today what I'm going to do, because this is from a local farmer and it's obviously home butchered, we've got a little bit of hair still in that skin, which is totally fine. But I am going to just take the skin off of this so that we're curing it without the skin on. Normally I would leave the skin on. So I'm just going to start that process. Take that skin off there and give us a nice, fresh, clean piece of pork jowl to work with. And then we're going to go through the curing process. So, our skin taken off, process. All we're going to do is take a large plastic container. You can also use your crisper in the bottom drawer of your fridge if you want. This is what we're going to use. This is a really simple cure. We're going to take any sort of non-iodized salt and brown sugar, and we're going to do half and half. And if there's no real, as you'll see, this isn't a really scientific recipe. It's just half and half, and all we need to have is enough to cover our guanciale, our pork jowl. Give that a little mix. As long as it's half and half, and then all we're going to do is whatever you like, whatever flavors you like. We love rosemary and pork, so I'm just going to strip off some fresh rosemary from the front of the cottage. Peel that off. Gosh, I love the smell of rosemary. It's one of my favorite things. It's so calming. Pay attention to the channel for Vanessa doing a piece on one of my favorite summer drinks, spring drinks, is rosemary lemonade. It is to die for. So a little bit of rosemary, a little bit of bay leaf, crushed up in there, handful of juniper berries into the cure, and then a little bit of seasoning. So I'm going to take, this is one of my favorite kitchen utensils. I got it for Christmas last year from Vanessa, and I just love it. I don't know why I love it, but I do. It's one of my favorite things to use. It's just fun. So it's a little Mediterranean Turkish style spice grinder. I'm going to throw some fresh peppercorns in there, and all I've got here is a medley, some red peppercorns, some black peppercorns, some white peppercorns. Going to go into the grinder. Into that I'm going to mix just a little bit of chili, red chili pepper flakes. Not much, just a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm trying to pay attention here. Into the grinder. If you mix a little bit or you drop a little bit into your cure, it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to mix that into the grinder, and then give it a quick grind. I just love this little tool. It is just fun to use and lets me kind of make my own fresh ground spice blends on the fly. Give that a little mix up. That's really all it is. Put your guanciale, pork jowl, into your cure. And then we're just going to coat it on top. And that's all. And if you need a little bit more, just add a little bit more. Just make sure it's fully covered, fully coated for the first day. This is a very fast process. This will take about 7 days and you will have fresh home cured bacon. Some of the best bacon you'll ever eat too. All right, give that a pat. And that's it for day one. All we're gonna do now, we're gonna put the lid on. We're gonna put it into the fridge. We're gonna let it sit till tomorrow. We're gonna take it out and I'll show you what happens next. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to our Thrifty Cottage, part 2 of the guanciale face bacon curing. So this is what it looks like in the morning of day 2. And all we're gonna do, if you see that liquid that's pooled up on the bottom there in the corner, all we're gonna do is we're gonna tip that out, turn this over, give it a little smoosh around, and put it back in the fridge. Now you're gonna do this exact process for 3 days. So this is day 1. So tomorrow and the next morning, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna tip out the water. We're gonna leave everything else as is, give it a little smoosh up. On the 4th day, the morning of day 4, I can count, day 4, we're actually gonna take the guanciale, the jowl, out. We're going to give it a rinse. We're going to pat it dry. And then we're going to do the same thing with our curing chamber, our fancy curing chamber here. We're just going to give it a rinse, pat it dry. Then this is going to go back into the fridge in the lowest shelf. And we're going to leave it in there for 3 more days. So 7 days, 1, 2, 3, 7 days total cure time. So the morning of the 4th, wash everything off, back in the fridge, clean and dry, no cure on it. Let it sit for the total of 7 days, take it out, and we're gonna have bacon, and we will do a follow-up video on that so you can see the tasting. Thanks, guys. Okay. So we made the guanciale exactly as per the recipe that I gave you in the beginning part of the video. It's now been in the fridge for probably about 9 days, I guess, roughly. And what I did with this one, a little different. I actually coated it in black pepper, ground black pepper, because delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting this. Let's make sure that we can see that all right. And then I'll hold up a couple pieces for you to see it as well. So because this has a skin on, you have to be a little bit careful because the skin is the rind is pretty tough, pretty hard to chew. So what I'll usually do is I will cut my slice and then I'll cut the rind off. It's just a little easier than doing it the other way. So that one is basically pure delicious fat that's going to be great queued up in a burger. And then I'm going to take this section here actually and slice this for cooking for you guys. We're going to go ahead and get out the trusty dusty electric frying pan. We're going to fry this up tonight. And we're going to show that to you, and then we're going to do a little taste test because if you, as I said, if you've never cooked home cured bacon, it is different and you have to be ready for that. So stay tuned, back in a flash. A trusty electric frying pan out here, and it's starting to get warm. I haven't turned all the way up to high to get it preheated, and I'm just going to add the slightest amount of canola oil, just so that things don't stick as we get started on this. Now, there's a lot of oil going to come out of this delicious stuff, which is what you want. But once it starts to get hot, you're going to want to turn the temperature down on this right away because unlike bacon that comes in a package from the store, I just like to smear around the oil a little bit to get a good coating in the pan here. Unlike bacon that comes from the store that has a lot of water in it, there's no water in this. As a matter of fact, it's quite dry even though it's got a lot of fat in it. So it will turn from beautiful and a little bit chewy to burnt, not burnt, but crispy and dry really, really fast. So, oh, you hearing that? Are you? I'm just going to lean in here. Hope you can see either me or the microphone. Can you hear that? Oh. love it. I love the sound of frying bacon. You're just gonna, somebody's laughing at me in the background. So just put this in, and one thing you're gonna notice right away is the fat, one of the first things it does is, instead of staying kind of a white color, it goes clear, very translucent very quickly. And as I said, it will turn from just right to overcooked really fast. So you definitely want to, I've got this warm now, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. And I'm not going to give you precise heats because honestly you've got to figure that out for yourself with your own pan. Like here, you can see this right away. That little piece has been in for how long? Hope you can see that. And it's already, the fat has completely changed to a translucent, very clear color. So very different from what you may be accustomed to when cooking bacon out of a package. Just turn the heat down, be gentle with it, give it some time, don't rush it. You will regret it. So we're going to get this going here, and I'm going to just be quiet now, and we're going to time lapse this until we get towards the end. So I'm going to be really high pitched in a second. Get all this bacon in here. You can see already that, so this is one of the thickest pieces I put in towards the very end. If I carefully hold that up to the camera, you can kind of see how quickly that went from, oh, you're nowhere near cooked, to, hey, you might be crispy. It does not take very long. All right, folks, there we go. That's it. This has been, I don't even know, I have to look on the video how long that took, but it really doesn't take very long. It does not take as long to cook as bacon from in a package does, and this is bacon that we made ourselves in our fridge. Nothing special. Salt, sugar, some spices, and a little bit of thyme, and some beautiful pork jowls from a local fingers. Get out of there. Kitchen thieves, man, everywhere. You're supposed to send for a taste test, girl. This is beautiful pork from a local hog producer. And the thing about when you're buying pork from local small producers, you're really supporting the agricultural food chain. You're supporting the farm to plate chain. Is definitely a great way to make sure that local farmers can produce good quality food for you and your family for ages to come. So that's it on that one. We're going to come back to this with a taste test. In the meantime, I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to throw these, all the flavor from, I'm still working on that, all the flavor from the guanciale has been rendered out into this pan. And I will tell you that I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice if you do not keep your bacon fat, bacon drippings, whatever you want to call it, guanciale drippings, and keep it in the fridge and use it for, if you're frying eggs or anything like that. It is absolutely adds so much flavor. You don't have to add hardly any salt to anything. It's absolutely delicious. So this is the official bacon fat container in the cottage. And we try to keep it fairly full. So all you do, if you've never done this before, take your drippings and pour it into the container, and then put it in the fridge, and it'll keep forever. Many people might remember their moms or grandmas, they kept an empty soup can beside the stove. And that empty soup can was what they poured all their fat drippings into, and it never left the stove. It stayed there out at room temperature. I'm not saying you should do that. That was very common though. So, but that's, now I've made that flavor last on 3 different areas, and we're going to carry that flavor forward in a bunch of different dishes. So stay tuned. We're going to do a little taste test on the guanciale, and then I'm going to start making burgers. I'm going to cook it right in this pan with all that delicious fat and drippings that are in here. And then we're going to use this guanciale as toppings on the burger as well. So stay tuned for that. We're back. All right, so a little bit of guanciale taste test time. Vanessa's been making fun of me pretty much all night tonight, so it's awesome to get her back on camera. So we're just going to have a little bit of this guanciale. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, because no matter how short a time we seem to cook it for, the fat always gets crunchy.
It's so good.
Like every time.
What I love
Fantastic.
about this stuff, though, is it isn't crazy salty or anything like that. It's like perfect.
Delicious. You have to try it. It's super easy. You can find it at any butcher. Go find a farmer that raises pigs. You can get it. A lot of people don't know what it is, and so you can usually pick it up pretty easy. Now, so good. We put it on some burgers, and we're gonna have a bite of one of those right away. I'm gonna cut this one open, and we're gonna taste that with the guanciale on the burger and the fat as well cubed up into the burger itself.
Oh, they smell so good.
Oh man, I can't wait. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my gosh. You did an excellent job. These are famous burgers.
They turn really good. Do I have ketchup on my face?
No.
Great. So, secret to burgers is don't just use ground beef. This is half ground beef, half ground pork. And then into that I mixed up some of the chopped up guanciale. And that's it. Some salt and pepper. Actually, that's not it. Smoked paprika. Our dog's ready to come back inside. A little bit of cheese and an egg to hold it all together. Fried. And then guanciale, fried onions on top, and a good old cheese slice. So
Cheese slices on burgers and out.
thanks for watching, everybody. Try to make this. It's super easy. Have yourself a great night. Please like, subscribe, do all those kinds of things. We appreciate the support. We're going to keep doing this anyway, but if you tell us you like it, we might do more. Ciao.